Welcome to History Rewrite. In today's video, we want to discuss how France disrespected Ibrahim Traoré, not knowing he was the president. Please, if you're new here, kindly subscribe to our channel. What seems like a normal flight turned into a powerful lesson. A flight attendant targets a quiet African passenger with disrespect, not knowing he is the president of Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traoré, who went for an important meeting for the progress of Africa, all he wanted was to get home, so he boarded a passenger aircraft just to get home. So, not knowing, the aircraft attendant did not know that was the president of Burkina Faso, Emmanuel Traoré. As the tension rise mid-air, the truth is revealed after landing, leaving the entire crew and the French CEO in shock. This dramatic story highlights dignity, strength, and the movement when hidden power is finally seen by all. Let's look at when Captain Ibrahim Traoré at the airport. The sun had just begun to rise over the quiet, peaceful airport. Inside a cold terminal, Ibrahim Traoré waited calmly at the gates 37. He didn't wear a suit, didn't have a bodyguard, and carried nothing flashy. To most, he looked like any other African traveler, but this man was not ordinary. He was Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso. He preferred to travel privately and humbly, no cameras, no loud announcements. That's how he moved. He believed in staying grounded, blended in with people. He had just returned from a European diplomatic mission where he discussed gold, sovereignty, and African future. Now, he simply wanted to go home. Let's look at when Ibrahim Traoré boarding Air France. As he approached the Air France flight to Ouagadougou, he greeted one of the airport workers in French with a warm smile, bonjour. The worker smiled back, unaware of his true dignity or identity. Traoré boarded the flight, nodded at the crew, and sat in business class, row 2A, near the window. No one noticed, and that's how he liked it. Let's look how the French CEO behaved with the president, Ibrahim Traoré. Meanwhile, the French CEO, used to red carpets, champagne, and first-class privileges, arrived at the gate expecting the same treatment. When told business class was full, he wasn't pleased. He demanded a seat upgrade, claiming his importance in African business affairs. He was used to getting his way, and the airline scrambled to satisfy him. The senior flight attendant, Claire, tall, white, and dressed impeccably, was called in with a forced smile. She boarded the plane, scanning the cabin, her eyes locked into Traoré, sitting calmly in his seat, dressed simple, no signs of status. He appeared to her as someone who didn't belong to anywhere. Claire, senior Air France air hostess, unfortunately or unforgettably encountered with Captain Ibrahim Traoré. She politely but firmly asked to see his boarding pass. He complied. The seat number was correct. Still, something inside he didn't sit right. Moment later, she returned with a more direct tone. Sir, we may need to move you to accommodate another passenger. Would you mind relocating to economy class? We will compensate you. Ibrahim, calm and quiet, raised an eyebrow. Why me? He asked. Claire replied, vocally, just a small adjustment for another guest. A guest more important than me? He questioned. She didn't respond. The other passenger glanced around, sensing discomfort, but no one intervened. Taure softly but firmly replied, "No, I will remain in my seat." Claire was stunned by this very reaction, a man like him saying no, especially an African man. She tried again, but Taure stood his ground. "If this is operational," he said, "then explain why I'm being asked and not anyone else." Fluttered, Claire walked away, then began targeting other black men in business class. A second mistake, Taure watched silently, his face composed, his mind sharp. Eventually, Claire pointed to a young African man and said, "You, sir, we need you to move to economy class." The young man asked, "Why me?" She gave no answer, just took his boarding pass. That's when Ibrahim Traore stood up. "Enough," he said, his voice calm but heavy with authority. "You are making decisions based on skin, not on ticket. That's called discrimination." Claire, shaken, asked him to sit down and not cause a scene. But this stir unsettled her. He didn't yell. He didn't reveal who he was. He didn't need to. He simply sat back composed. The flight continued. Passengers relaxed. The tension lingered. Claire brought water to Traore mid-flight, trying to mend things. No apology, no respect. Meanwhile, the CEO was being pampered, laughing, sipping champagne, chatting with Claire about his important project in Africa. He boasted that Burkina Faso was lucky to have him bringing order to chaos. 2 rows away, the very man he insulted sat in silence. An African nurse on board whispered to her neighbor, "That's our president. They don't even know who they are humiliating." Nobody dared to speak. Ibrahim stared out the window, peaceful but resolute. As the plane began to descend into Ouagadougou, passengers noticed something unusual. Rows of blacks, SUVs, military vehicles, and the presidential escorts waiting on the tarmac. Whispers spread inside the cabin. "Are we landing in a war zone?" "No, that's military protocol," one replied. "Maybe someone important is arriving," another suggested. The CEO smiled. "Must be for me." Claire laughed, prepared to escort him ahead of others. But the moment the plane stopped, everything changed. Presidential guard lined up in full uniform, weapons at their side. Behind them stood top Minister of Defense, Foreign Affairs, and the head of security, waiting in the heat like statues of power. So, Claire, a France a hostess, unforgettably encountered with Captain Traore. She politely but firmly asked to see his boarding pass. He complied. The seat number was correct. Still, something inside was missing. So, as they landed, everything changed completely. The CEO said that The escort was for him. So everything turned sideways. So let's look at the arrival at Gaduga. Through the window, passenger watched as presidential guard in shaped uniform line up with weapons at the side. That was so incredible. Behind them stood Burkina Faso top minister, defense, the minister, foreign ministers, and the head of security, standing still in heat like statues of power. Claire peeked through the window and gasped, "What is this?" She whispered. The CEO stood smoothing his suit. "Clearly, this is for me," he said. "I told you, I'm involved in big project." But before anyone could move, a tall officer in black berets boarded the aircraft. His boot echoes through the aisles. Every face turned as he stooped or stopped seats 2A. He raised his hand to his forehead in crisp military salute. "Murat, President. Welcome home." The entire cabin felt silence. You could hear heart stop, clear eyes drop. Her hands began to tremble. Ibrahim Traoré slowly stood, calm, dignified, not a word spoken. The CEO stepped back, mouth agape. "President," he stammered. Traoré gave a simple nod, not angry, not proud, just a man who no longer needed to explain himself. Another officer stepped in. "We have instructions." He would coldly, looking directly at Claire and the CEO. "You two will come with us." Claire's voice cracked. "Wait, what? Why me?" "You have been detained for questioning." The officers replied. "You have publicly disrespected the head of state on national soil. That is a serious offense." Claire stammered, trying to explain, "No, this has to be a mistake. I was just doing my job." But no one listened at all. Traoré stepped off the plane and was immediately met by his people, his guard, his minister, and a cheering crowd beyond the airport fence. Camera flashes. The truth was out. The man they judged by appearance was now seen for who he truly was. Back on the plane, Claire and the CEO were placed in handcuffs. Passengers watched in stunned silence as the two were escorted down the step, their heels lowered, arrogant crushed, and that was only the beginning. The tarmac blazed beneath the Burkina Faso sun, but all eyes were on the two who had once strutted with pride, now being led away in shame. They were placed in separate black vehicles, surrounded by elite presidential guard. No one said a word, not even the officers. The silence was deafening. It was the silence of dignity reclaiming its place. Inside the terminal, President Ibrahim Traoré stood before a small group of press. Calmly, without anger, he spoke. "In Burkina Faso, we don't look at a man's skin to measure his worth. We don't bow to money or to old colonial habits. Here, we respect dignity, humanity, and our people. That is the new Africa." The story spread like wildfire. Footage of the salute, the CEO being dragged away, social media explode, news clip played on loop. The youth across the continent celebrated hashtags trending. The military or the Ministry of Justice formally charged Claire and the CEO with public insult and discrimination against the head of state. The French embassy tried to intervene, but Traoré responded firmly. This is not a colony. This is a sovereign nation. They will face justice like anyone else. Air France scrambled to control the damage, issuing a generic apology within 24 hours, filled with corporate language and empty regrets. But it wasn't enough. Outraged citizens across Africa called for boycotts. Claire, now in detention, entered outside Ouagadougou, broke down in tears during questioning. "I did not know who he was," she sobbed. "I was just following procedures." The investigator responded coldly. "You don't need to know who he was. You just needed to treat him like a human being." The CEO now faced legal action in both Burkina Faso and France. He tried to use his influence, but the court made a powerful ruling. No immunity, no special treatment, justice would be equal. Traoré never clothed, he never mocked them. He simply returned to his presidential duties, building roads, empowering young people, strengthening the military. But the moment on that plane became legend. A quiet man in a noddy, a flight attendee with prejudice, a CEO binded with pride, and a landing that changes everything. Please, if this is the first time you're watching our channel, do well to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video. Bye for now.